Well, Dean Jones has had an enormous contribution to the game in many, many different ways. You know, firstly, from a playing perspective, he was what you'd consider as a pioneer in the white ball game. He was doing things well ahead of his time. At the time, in the 80s and the 90s, people would look at him and question his logic and his theories and some of the things he did when he went about, more so his batting than anything else. But as we've seen over time, he's proven to be, you know, pretty much well ahead of, you know, his generation with regards to how he went about the game.
And that's a great shot from Dean Jones. This is typical Jones.
It's a tough pill to swallow, losing Dean Jones at only age 59. Dean was forever young at heart. He was full of life and full of fun. He was really a joy to be around. And I go back to when I played against Dean in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was a tough competitor. He was an innovator. The way that he ran between the wickets, the way that he moved about at the batting crease was almost ahead of its time, full of energy, full of thought, but combative. And that's epitomized by his confrontation with Sir Curtly Ambrose at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Curtly and Dean joked about that for many years thereafter.
I think a lot of people forget Dean Jones as a test cricketer as well. Dean Jones has got a remarkable test record. You know, someone that averaged around 46, 50-odd test matches and was unlucky not to play another 50, to be honest with you. So he was not just a white ball specialist, he was a cricket specialist. He really was one of the game's finest players in his generation.
Good hit. There's a man out there, but he won't get it. That's well struck by Dean Jones.
Dean took that sort of innovation into the commentary box. He generally looked at the game from a perspective that was different, with great depth, but he regaled you with stories. He was an entertainer, almost a showman.
You know, Dino sort of didn't let cricket rest. He's a very passionate cricketing person. He remained in the game, in the media. His contributions were enormous with his incredible insight in the game. He sort of read the game very well. He sort of shared the game with great passion and knowledge. And then over recent years, he's done what he's always loved, and that is coach. Many people along the journey with Dean Jones as the player, the commentator, and the coach have benefited enormously, and I'm very much central to that. I'm one of those people that have benefited by being a teammate, a friend, and a co-commentator.
But as a person is where I am greatly moved about Dean Jones. I worked on a couple of jobs in commentary with him, and on one particular occasion, when just the two of us traveled to one of those jobs together, somehow the conversation started getting deeper, and Dean and I started talking about our lives. Dean talked about his upbringing, his family, and events in his life which moved him in those conversations with great emotion. And there I saw the person behind the player, a person with a great heart for others, a person who was not the tough exterior, the combative player, but someone who felt the weight of events. And that really changed the way that I saw Dean Jones. I really thought it would be a life lived forever.